The US has reported a record number of new coronavirus infections. 55,000 new COVID-19 cases were logged on Thursday, just as the country gears up for the 4th of July, Independence Day weekend. Let's look at the data showing daily new cases from the beginning of the outbreak in the US. After rising steadily to begin with, the curve flattens from the end of April to mid-June, but as the lockdown restrictions ease, new infections have shot up again. As the pandemic accelerates, Independence Day events have been scaled back and officials are urging caution at both public and private gatherings. DW's Washington bureau chief Ines Pohl visited a popular beach resort to gauge the mood there.
For many Americans, this is the first time out after months in lockdown. They are hungry for fun and sun. They want to celebrate this 4th of July weekend as they normally do.
I'd like to keep moving on, do the fireworks, continue normalcy as much as we can.
Moving back to normalcy is what we'd like to do.
I think if you take the right precautions, there's nothing to be scared of.
They don't want you to party, they don't want you to enjoy yourself, but you'll have, how many thousands in a group on a protest.
How to deal with the pandemic is highly politicized. Some feel that the restrictions are taking away their personal freedom. Others just see an irresponsible lack of action.
I expect here in our community here in Maryland that because it's tourist season now, 4th of July, that these cases are going to come back as people do not socially distance or wear their masks while visiting our beaches. I don't think President Trump will do anything. I think he will continue to, say it's a hoax and not believe in the science that is there, causing so many cases and deaths.
This lack of guidance creates a dilemma for business owners between health concerns and remaining competitive. Brenda Parker runs the Inlet Bar and Grill in the 5th generation.
We want them to wear a mask, but if they don't want to wear a mask, we can't tell them to wear a mask because it's their right to wear a mask or not. I don't feel safe with them not wearing a mask. That's why I wear my mask. But I would rather them wear a mask. He can make it a law that that we have to wear them if it's recommended and it's for our safety and our health. Then he should make it where you get fined $500 if you don't wear a mask.
The United States are facing a new record high of COVID-19 infections, but little would you know here at the boardwalk in Ocean City in Maryland. The majority of the people is not wearing a mask. They tell us we are here to have fun. We want to celebrate. We are done with this virus. The business owners obviously do have a different approach. They fear that after the weekend they will face a new wave which will lead to a new lockdown, and that would bring them to their knees. In 2 weeks' time, we will know whether the right steps were taken, if people celebrated this unprecedented 4th of July in a responsible way, or the worst fears of a next wave will come true.
Well, I'm now joined by DW reporter William Glucroft, who's looked a bit deeper into this story. William, what can we expect this weekend there?
Well, that's the big question that public health officials are worried about. Just how many people are going to go out to beaches, go barbecues, mix with a lot of people, have a more or less normal Independence Day to celebrate freedom. And they're saying maybe you can celebrate freedom in a different way, stay home. Donald Trump's been sending mixed messages. He's going today, July 3rd, to Mount Rushmore, the famous monument to America's great presidents, for a fireworks display. And the governor there in South Dakota said there will be no kinds of restrictions, no kinds of social distancing enforced. And that's open to the public. And tomorrow, on July 4th, back in Washington, he wants to have a scaled down in comparison to last year, but still quite a large fireworks display at the White House on the National Mall. The D.C. city government is absolutely dead set against this, but it's federal property. They really have very little power over whether people can go or not. As many as 7,000 people are expected to show up to this massive fireworks display that Donald Trump is supporting. They say there'll be masks, but public health officials and many, particularly Democratic politicians, are saying, please don't go, please be careful.
How do you explain Trump's approach to this crisis? It's not guided by reason, is it?
It's been very erratic. He's now come out and said, yes, I believe in masks. You should wear one if you want. It's recommended but not required. Remember, this is a country that put up a fierce fight to have health insurance be required. So to be able to be required to wear a mask is another thorn in the side for many Americans. Donald Trump and many of his allies get around this question by saying, refer to the states. It's the state's issue. Talk to your governors, see what your governors are requiring or recommending. But the problem is the policies at the state level have been very mixed. Red states, blue states, also regardless of political party, there has been just a very confusing amount of mixed messaging for Americans to know what exactly to do, which sows a lot of doubt and gives a lot of leeway for people who don't want to follow these rules.
Well, we have the presidential elections in the US coming up in November. What kind of role will Trump's handling of the coronavirus crisis play in that?
I mean, of course, we're still very far from that. A lot can happen. We have the conventions coming up in August. We don't know where this virus and other developments are going to go, but he has been taking a hit. His disapproval ratings are at an all-time high for him, in the low to mid 50s, depending on what poll you're looking at. A New York Times Siena College poll was very interesting, looking at voters who voted for Trump in 2016. 86%, according to this poll, show they're still going to vote for Trump, but 14% are either unsure or absolutely not going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, that may seem like not a huge number, but remember, the voting margins are so razor thin in the United States, as we remember from the 2016 election, and going back further, the 2000 election was George W. Bush. It could take just a few percentage points here or there that could really tip the election, and that's what Donald Trump really has to be worried about going into November.
It's going to be an exciting election night, that's
exciting is one way to put it.
William Bluecroft, thank you very much.